Right, so a couple of points to make. Number one, muscle is slow to build. Losing body fat is actually, it can be done quite fast if we do things correctly. It's hard to do, but it can be done quite fast. Muscle is much slower to build. It takes about 1/4 of the time. So let's say you can lose 1 to 2 pounds per week in body fat. It would take you about a month to build that in muscle for the average person. And the more muscle you have, the slower that's going to be again. So it takes a long time to build muscle. A lot of the time, random off topic, people might gain a little bit of weight and they'll say, maybe I've gained some muscle, I've been walking more. Doesn't work like that. Muscle is very hard to build when you're doing everything correctly, nutrition and training wise. So because it's hard to build, or slow to build, it's also slow to lose. So if you're missing a few sessions, doesn't matter all that much. It's not going to be a big deal. It takes a while to lose muscle tissue. Alright? And muscle memory is real. I know you've heard of this before, muscle memory. So what does that mean? When you build new muscle tissues, there's a lot of things that happen at the biological level. In short, it's easier to regain that muscle than it is to gain it in the first place. So let's say you've got Bob and Tom. Bob's never lifted weights before. Tom has. Tom had a decent amount of muscle and he lost it all. Now they're both back at the same level. Tom is going to be able to build muscle easier than Bob because he's already had it before. His body is there waiting for those signals just to say, send those signals and we'll get it right back. So it's easier to build muscle back if you do lose it. Maintaining muscle is easier than building it. You don't need to do a lot of training to maintain your muscle mass. So you need to do a certain amount to build it, but once you've got it, you can back off, you can take a bit of a breather, you don't need all that much stimulus. Strength will come back quickly, so if you're not lifting heavy weights in the gym, you will lose some strength. Just like muscle will come back quickly, your strength will come back quickly as well. So the point is, don't panic, don't stress over these things. When it comes to this period of time, we need to shift our thinking. So you can think of this, and instead of building strength or building muscle, take this as an opportunity to build endurance capacity, which is going to help you on the football pitch and other cardio activities you enjoy doing. So if we're using body weight, most likely our repetitions are going to be much higher. So we're going to be working more of the endurance side of things. So take this as an opportunity. It's a good thing. We're going to work on some endurance for the next few weeks. And then when it comes to exercise just at this time of life, everything that's going on right now, use it as a chance to de-stress. It doesn't have to be about weight loss necessarily. Exercise can be for other things, right? It can be to de-stress, it can be just to have some fun and enjoyment while we're going through a bit of a difficult time. It can be to spend some time with family. You can get your family involved with this. If you've got kids, get them to do a workout with you. Nice and simple. If you're at home with your body weight, get them to join in. And you can also use it to keep yourself busy. I don't know about you, but half the time lately, I find myself opening the cupboards, eating food out of boredom, because maybe I've done all my projects and there's less to do now. We can't go out much. So yeah, use it to keep yourself busy. Now, like I said earlier, a single cardio-based workout. For example, at the moment, you got Joe Wicks doing the PE sessions for kids in the mornings, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Fair play to the guy. I think it's brilliant what he's doing. And a lot of people I know are joining in with those sessions, and that's great as well. And while those sessions are great for all of these reasons, and as well as fitness, it's not the same as strength training. You're not able to progress. Think of strength training and progression like this. When you're trying to lose body fat, in Man Be Fat we weigh ourselves every week. With my own guys, I take measurements as well, and we can track the progression. So let's say you're trying to lose body fat, and then one week you take a waist measurement. The next week you take your scale weight, then the week after you take a chest measurement, and then the week after you take a toe measurement. It means nothing, right? There's no progression. You can't, well, there might be progression, but you don't know. You can't see what's happening. You've got nothing to measure it off. So this is why strength training needs to be more structure-based, so you can see how many reps you're getting, how strong you're getting, how much weight you're lifting, and then you can keep progressing and changing things that way, right? Okay, so when it comes to strength training, well, just in general, you've got your 4 basic body movement patterns, right? You've got your push-in, your pull-in, your squat, and your hinge. So push-in, pull-in. This can actually be split down into 6 movements, because pushing, you've got horizontal and vertical pushing, right? And then the same with pulling. You've got horizontal pulling and vertical pulling. So any decent strength training plan will have all 6 of these in. They'll have a horizontal and a vertical push, a horizontal and a vertical pull, a squat, and a squat is where you break at the knees, so think sitting down, and a hinge is where you hinge at the hip, so not necessarily the knees. So if I could show you, I'll show you in a little bit. I'm going to show you some exercises in a bit. So you're pushing, you're pulling, you're squatting where you're breaking at the knees, and you're hinging. So when you're pushing, you're working mostly the chest muscles, some of the shoulder muscular area, and your triceps, the back of the arms. When you're pulling, you're using mostly your back muscles. There's a variety of back muscles. You're using a bit of your shoulders, the deltoid muscle here, the anterior posterior deltoid, and also your biceps, because you're pulling. They're all pulling muscles. And then when you're squatting, you're using, for the most part, it's going to be the front of your legs, like your quads, a little bit of the butt and the glutes. And when you're doing a hinge movement and you're coming back up and squeezing, you're going to be using mostly the back of your body, like the hamstrings and the glutes. So incorporating all of these movements into a strength training plan gives us balance, which is important, because if you do too much of one and not enough of the other, that's how you get imbalances and injuries. You see a lot of the time people who do too much pushing, too much bench pressing, and not enough pulling to balance themselves out. And they end up having this kind of posture, which is called kyphosis, and it's everything at the front becomes really tight. These muscles behind are weak, so they don't pull us back into position. So this is why it's really important to balance things out and make sure everything is included as a whole, and then we dish that out over the week in order of fitness levels, personal preference, which we'll talk about later.